We here in Plymouth have a bustling downtown, vibrant with music, art, theater, restaurants, museums, and more. It can get crowded, and for those outside of walking distance, the beginning of a day or evening out in Plymouth is finding a parking spot. On this segment of A Closer Look, Julie Thompson sits down with Desmond Egan, Parking and Property Operations Director of the nonprofit Park Plymouth, which has a memorandum of understanding with the town to oversee parking in the business district.
Today on A Closer Look, we're going to be taking a closer look at Park Plymouth. And I'm pleased to be joined by Desmond Egan, who is the director of Park Plymouth. Welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having me, Julie.
Thank you for being here. Now, for those people who don't know what Park Plymouth is, can you tell me about the entity itself and how you came to be?
Sure. Back in 2002, the then Board of Selectmen created a Chapter 182, which is an MGL chapter with the state of Massachusetts, to create, which was Plymouth Development Corporation,
Yep.
which is now Plymouth Growth and Development Corporation.
Okay.
We were tasked within that MGL chapter of overseeing the parking program for the town, some economic development stuff as well. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on since now,
Okay.
since what, 22 years
right,
later.
Right. And a lot has changed because you basically you concentrate more in the downtown area and a little bit of North Plymouth.
Yes.
That's really where you're.
That's our main focus. That's the footprint. That's what everything that's embedded into that MOU with the town.
With the town.
Yep.
So you do have a memorandum of understanding with the town. You're not actually a town entity, but you're doing this on the town's behest.
True. Yes, we do it on their behalf, and that's just an agreement we have with them of what our responsibilities are to the town,
Okay.
and what our responsibilities are to the Board of Selectmen, who my board is appointed by.
Okay. So about you for 1 second.
Sure.
Because you're the face of Park Plymouth. So
Yes.
what is your background that brought you to this point?
Oh, okay. So, believe it or not, I did it in college. I was a valet in Boston. So I was one of the
parking in your
guys standing
heart.
in front of your restaurants, or at this time I worked at a hotel.
Yeah.
And I did that for, throughout my college career.
Yeah,
And then I
yeah.
went and got into, want to run a hotel?
Yeah.
Want to run another hotel? You want to be an assistant manager here?
Yeah.
I grew within the company, which was Ultimate Parking.
Yeah.
I ended up going to New York, working for a bigger company called Laz Parking, where I oversaw all the 36 parking lots for all the public parking for Manhattan, for the
my
MTA.
goodness.
Yeah, for the train stations going in, 15,000 spaces. I did that for 2 years.
Wow.
Ended up coming back here,
Yeah.
caught on doing some hotel stuff, and then I was fortunate to transition here
Yeah.
into Plymouth.
Yeah. So hospitality and parking go hand in hand.
Yes.
Especially when you're talking about Plymouth with tourism, with economic development, it's all tied together. And people have a misconception about Plymouth not having any parking. Well, I can't go to Plymouth, there's no parking. Okay,
Yeah.
so talk a little bit about that misconception.
Well, that's true. Yes, it's because of the age of the town. Our parking's not necessarily front and center where you want it if you were dealing in an
Building a
ideal
town from
situation,
the
right?
beginning, right.
So we're kind of, because of the age of it, there's some stuff there. But overall, we have almost 1,500 paid parking spaces there. We have almost another 200 on the main corridor. We're getting, right now, we have the parking deck. It's a little further away from the city center,
It's
like downtown areas.
Next to the town hall.
Correct,
Yeah.
which is right next on South Russell Street. All of that stuff is, what's the beauty of, I think, what makes Plymouth so good, the waterfront and downtown, is the walkability of it. So if you're at the parking deck, we actually have a walking map on our website,
Yeah.
where it just shows how close everything is. And
Right.
the parking deck into most in downtown is about 3 to 4 minute walk.
Right.
A little further if you're going down to the waterfront. We have a bunch of open air parking lots on the waterfront that service the immediate area by Town Wharf, but then even easier walk down there
Right.
to Plymouth Rock and Mayflower.
Now, one of the challenges I would assume you have is that all the people that work in the downtown area often have to park their cars to go to work.
Sure.
Okay. And then you have people that want to come and spend money on all those establishments.
Yep.
So you have two different groups. Then you have people who want to come for the day and just kind of cruise around.
Sure. And you have residents, you have
You have
boaters,
residents,
you have all
right,
the activity
right.
on the
So-
water.
So
Yeah.
herein lies your challenge.
Correct.
Right. Now, one of the things that it gets a little, I think is misunderstood, is the fact that people have to move their cars. Why do people have to move? Can you explain what that is?
So how we look at it, when you look at it, you look at kind of density of where all the, where the most activity is. And those are, we want the shorter term parking spaces,
Sure.
right? So the main corridor, like Main Street Extension, those are 2 hours. We want someone to come in, grab a sandwich, get something to eat,
Yep.
coffee,
Go
whatever it
shopping.
is. and then make your way. The longer term areas, we have a bunch of 10-hour parking lots. We have a tiered system for our permit, but we love for our residents and some of those people who are going to be here for 8, 10, 12 hours to park a little further away.
Right.
Makes those closer spots available for people coming in. So the support staff for restaurants or businesses in the area, a little further away, but those prime spaces are most important to those businesses, and the economic viability of downtown are most available to the incoming public.
Right. Now, people can get parking permits.
Correct.
Correct?
Yep.
So talk to me about that.
So we have it's a resident program. You can get them in 2 levels. You have a premium and you have a limited. So they have 2 different levels. They get you access into limited, gets you to just 2 or 3 different locations close by to both the waterfront and downtown. Premium encompasses everything. And then if you're an out-of-town resident who works in downtown with a local business, you can also get access to the permit.
Okay.
And that gives those folks there. So in front of Water 3, or we call it Water 3, which is near Lobster Hut, and Water 2 near East Bay, those are time-limited spaces, 4 hours. Because of their proximity to that middle town wharf and all the activities that go on there, they're a little bit shorter term. Memorial Hall right outside the Rotary there, and then we call Water 4, which is up by Hotel 1620, and Water 1, the other side of the water treatment facility. Those are 10-hour lots, and that's where we really like to ideally have our longer-term parkers, the support staff for the restaurants and businesses to park there to make those other spaces more accessible to the incoming visitors.
And the customers of all these people.
And we kind of can monitor with some of our equipment is intelligent enough to tell us what the longevity of our average stay. So we know people stay, between 2 and 2.5 hours. So that's how we kind of program that in with that turnover in mind.
Okay.
And we know, the support staff is, between 4, 6, and 8 hours, even plus, depending on how busy the weekends are.
So what is this thing about you have to move your car after a certain amount of time?
Well, in the 2-hour corridor, unfortunately, in an effort to avoid to pay for parking, some people will park their car, set their alarm for 2 hours later, and then jump a spot or 2.
Okay.
But stay on the same corridor that's free, that's supposed to be for incoming people.
Oh, because you do have free parking.
It is free parking there.
Yeah,
and there's other free options that we have. We lease some area across from 224 Water Street. That's a free option, which is great if you're going to Nelson Park.
Right.
It's a short distance to the restaurants. If you don't want to pay for a permit, that's an option for you. We have the Jenny Grist Mill, which is just a short distance outside of downtown. That's a free option as well. We also work with Nathaniel Morton Elementary School after hours and school. That's a free option that we have available for customers who are incoming. So it's a little bit further walk, but that's available to those folks.
Right. So the money that you collect from the tickets, which nobody likes to get a parking ticket. Of course you don't. How does all that money work? What is all the funding that comes in? What does it go towards?
Sure. So first of all, we don't like issuing tickets either. We ideally would prefer everyone pay. That's why we try to make it available with credit cards. We take cash still. We have phone apps. So we try to make that available. We try to make our signage clear.
Sure.
But if we write you a ticket, all that money that comes in does not go to a corporation. There's a big misconception that we're from New York or we're from Texas, I think was the last one I've heard. I report to a 7-member board appointed by the Board of Selectmen to oversee parking.
Okay.
That board is tasked with taking the money that we have there, of course, paying for some of the, some staffing and stuff that's there, but also to facilitate more parking. So over the course of the 2002, but primarily in the last 15 years, the PGDC board has done an excellent job, in my opinion. We have bought our Waterford parking lot right next to Hotel 1620 from the MTA. That's a 150 space parking lot that we bought with funds related from collection of parking to pay for that.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah,
you're creating more spaces with the more money that you
We've done the parking deck. We funded the parking deck. We did all the construction, all the engineering prior to that. We're also paying that annually bond payment to the town for that. Most recently, we purchased the old Santander Bank building in 4 North Street. And we bought that because it had 75 parking spaces in the heart of downtown.
For the lot.
Yeah, so we knew we were going to have, if that was a loss to downtown, that would have had a huge impact to the immediate downtown areas to have that be cordoned off for whatever other purpose it was.
Exactly.
So that money that we take in goes to go right directly back into buying those assets. We've also done feasibility studies
Yep.
in other parking areas to understand, are they viable to build a construction, like a parking garage?
Yeah.
Can they
'Cause
support it?
That's really what is missing. Is, granted, it wouldn't look great because of the way the downtown looks, but we need a parking structure. Do we not?
Sure. I mean, I'd like to think the South Russell Street deck is
Yeah,
there, and
that's
that's our
getting there.
first
Yep.
step there. What we're finding is also the cost associated with those are very expensive.
Yeah.
We had a very big, ambitious project that the board had envisioned behind Memorial Hall.
I remember that.
That was upwards of about, I guess, $20 million
Dollars,
back
yep.
there. We did every effort to try to chase some Tiger grant, it was called at the time, which is a transportational grant that the federal government would do
Yeah.
to fund
support
like a
that, yeah.
transportational stuff. We tried
Yeah.
to partner with GATRA to make
Yeah.
it more attractive with the transportational part of it. We thought that kind of tied in well with the rest of the town. Unfortunately, we didn't get that.
Right.
When you're charging $2 an hour, it's hard
Yeah,
to make
sure.
up that $20 million
Of course it is, of course it is,
cost.
yeah.
So, but we have feasibility studies that have been in place. So if and when the time is there, we already have that advanced engineering done,
Yep.
and then we can kind of go to the build process.
Okay. For the entirety of this interview, please visit the Local Scenes Government Services YouTube page. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button before you go. We'll see you next time.